Joining us in the studio to talk about aged care from Empower Aged Care, Nicole Dunn. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I'm very pleased to have you in the studio because we're going to talk about My Aged Care, which not too many people know that much about. It's called MAC. It's nothing to do with Apple. Yeah, it's a starting point. Let's talk about it. What is MAC?
Yeah, so My Aged Care is really the starting point for seniors to access government-funded services.
Okay.
So that could be services in an aged care facility, or it could be services at home. It's a single point of entry, so it means that's the only way you go through initially to access that help. So it comprises of a website and it comprises of a government call centre, and its main aim is to link seniors in with government-funded services. So when a senior person calls My Aged Care or MAC, they collect their information. That information is passed through to a local area assessment service. An assessment would happen either in person or via phone, and then the senior person is approved for services. So it's a bit of a different way of doing things.
Yeah.
It was introduced in 2013, and it was introduced because prior to My Aged Care there were many different access points people could go through, and it was really quite confusing. So it's sort of there to streamline that. It also has a role in terms of providing information
So
to
federal
seniors.
government in 2013 did a whole host of things to change healthcare, but this was an interesting, I suppose, innovation in that it was meant to bring some order.
That's right.
Some level of uniformity.
In theory, instead of there could be 15 or 20 points you might ring, now you just ring My Aged Care. So in the first instance now, you might not ring your council to get help, you would go through My Aged Care.
Okay, so if mum, for example, we're worried about her, getting older and older and older, more fragile, and of course the last thing you want is for her not to live safely at home. Is MAC or My Aged Care the first port of call?
It is
to
for
assess,
government,
to assess her?
That's correct. For government-funded services, it is, yes.
Okay, all right. So we've talked about what it is, what My Aged Care is all about. Who can access it? Can I access it? for my parents?
Yeah, you could speak with My Aged Care on behalf of your parents if you're a representative for them.
Because I understand there are a great number of community that don't readily speak fluent English.
Correct.
So they may not be, what's the word, computer literate.
Exactly.
So again, someone younger who can help.
Yes.
Is that as long as they're a member of the family? Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. If you were there with your parents, you could call My Aged Care. So it's designed for seniors aged 65 years and above, or for Indigenous Australians aged 50 years or above. If you're younger than that, your care falls to the disability sector.
Let's talk about the services that it can provide. What sorts of things does My Aged Care address?
Yeah, so My Aged Care is for government-funded services, not the private services sector.
Okay. So what are the government-provided services?
So that it could be care in an aged care facility, a nursing home. It could include home care packages. It includes care available through local councils like your Meals on Wheels and shopping help. And it also includes a lot of allied health services available in community health centres, so things like physiotherapy and occupational therapy. So it's actually quite a wide range of services that are government funded. Can
The telehealth component that we saw introduced and really rolled out during COVID, can you access My Aged Care through there?
So a lot of the government-funded services do use telehealth as well as face-to-face, and a lot of them had to adopt that with COVID,
Okay, you've been around for a while in this area, in this sector. It's an area of expertise for you. What have you made of it? Is it achieving the sorts of things it was actually designed to address?
So in the sense of it being a single point of entry for government-funded services, yes, it is achieving that. And
so
there's one number, there's one website you go through.
Okay.
With the Royal Commission, and they examined My Aged Care, they found that My Aged Care has expanded beyond just being a single point of entry, and it's around connecting seniors with appropriate services, and it found that that's where it can fall down a little bit. So that one of
How so?
Well, one of the big criticisms is that there's no shop front for My Aged Care. You can't speak with anyone face to face. It's all either online or through a call centre, and the call centre is not doing in-depth assessments. It's collecting information, really through use of a pro forma,
Yes.
and then passing it on to someone to do the assessment. So if you don't get it right at the intake point, it causes further problems down the chain.
It can go
It could
anywhere.
go anywhere, exactly. They also found that it's sort of quite difficult for seniors to make an informed decision with the information that's provided through My Aged Care, and it can be really difficult for seniors to know if a particular service will actually meet their needs. So from the service side of things, in particular being that connection point between the seniors and the services, there's still quite a way to go with My Aged Care.
Are they offering various languages to break down some of the cumbersome questioning that, if you're not fluent in English, might just seem like way too hard?
So certainly interpreters are available,
But
there can sometimes be that communication difficulty getting to that point of an interpreter. And I find for a lot of seniors, they tend to rely more on their families to help them in that first instance.
well, there's a confidence component.
Yeah, exactly. Before
Trust,
them being,
confidence.
Yeah.
You understand.
before
And
them
you also
being,
understand
yeah.
my level of concern, and for a lot of them, as they get older, it really can be a very unwieldy situation.
Yeah.
What advice do we have for seniors, with respect to My Aged Care? What do you say to them?
Look, what I say is to really look into My Aged Care and the services that are available to you before you need them. And that's because we
In
know...
other words, get comfortable
Yeah,
with the toys.
Exactly. Get comfortable with it, because we know there are waiting times to access government-funded services. We know the process of researching what's out there takes a really long time, and you never want to do it in a crisis. It's really important that if seniors are getting stuck along the way, that they speak with a professional. So this is something I do very regularly with seniors, is to help them from start to finish with My Aged Care, even do direct referrals on their behalf. It's also incredibly important that a senior person appoints a representative. It could be a family member or a friend, someone that they're comfortable to speak with My Aged Care, either with them or on their behalf, just so they have another level of support and advocacy.
The Royal Commission handed down a number of findings. When we address My Aged Care, or MAC, what did they imagine they were accomplishing with it when they introduced it in 2013? What did they imagine it was going to deliver?
Yeah, look, I initially...
You said it was going to give them a portal and a window and so on.
Yeah.
And as we've seen, as you've said, it's already done that. But did they not think that it would need part two, or an upgrade, or as your Apple phone or your Android tends to do, it needs the next patch? Is there another option coming up? Is there a Mac 2 around the corner?
There will be, and certainly it has evolved along the way already.
Okay.
So there's more information.
Are you hearing that, or is that your best expectation?
No, since 2013 it has already evolved. So there's now more information on there about specific providers, for example. There's cost calculator tools on there. But again, a further upgrade needs to occur. There's talk about introducing system navigators to actually help people through the process.
Wow.
Whether they will look at things like having a face-to-face component, there is more to come.
I think the face-to-face is key.
It is, absolutely.
We've seen through COVID, when you have that face-to-face opportunity, the benefits far outweigh the shortcomings and the costs. I think at the end of the day, that's where we need to go.
Absolutely. Always leads to better outcomes.
We've talked about My Aged Care, or MAC, as I touched on earlier. And Nicole has said it's been meeting what the initial design challenge, but there is so much more that needs to be done. Is there anything else you want to leave us with? If anyone has any more questions, is Empower Aged Care also providing a window and a portal to help with these questions?
Absolutely. Yeah, so I meet with clients face to face, explain things more specifically around their situation and how MAC My Aged Care would be useful for them and how to get through that process.
Fantastic. Nicole, before you rush out, before we finish this, so many people will not want to go and get their government service. So what do people do if they just want to access, say, a private service without having to go through an assessment organised through the government?
Yeah, so I meet many clients who really don't want to deal with government assessments. They know they're extensive, they're long, they don't want to deal with
Tedious.
Centrelink. Yeah, and they've actually got the money to pay for a private service directly, full fee. And what they do in those instances is they will contact a private provider, which is often a company, and they will make arrangements directly with that company to provide aged care services instead of calling My Aged Care. So whilst it can be more expensive, it has benefits in terms of not going through complex assessments, waiting periods, and it can be a bit more flexible, and it's help you can get more immediately if you can afford it.